Namaste. Wishing you all a very, very happy International Day of Yoga. And we will start with the prayers as we always do. I'll be chanting a few prayers. We will chant the Patanjali prayer, and I will also chant a few more. The Omkar. Om. 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 योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचा मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोतं प्रवरं मुनीना पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिम् ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Open your eyes. So again, I wish all of you a very happy International Day of Yoga. And I know many of you, and I'm interacting with a few of you for the first time. The the aim of today's session, why I thought I should um, talk with all of you, is to share how certain things have helped me personally um, to understand this science and philosophy of yoga in depth. And first thing that has helped me is to set the goal, is to understand what is the aim of yoga, what is the goal of yoga. And so I thought that I should be talking about the goal of yoga on the mat and off the mat both. That's because when we say this word yoga, we are basically thinking about the practice of yoga on the mat, which is asana practice or the practice of pranayama, right? So we will talk about that. And in addition to that, we will also talk about the goal of yoga on the mat. Basically, it is not different. There are no two different goals of yoga on the mat and off the mat. It's one and the same goal. Okay. So it's like this. If if I ask you, when you look into the mirror every morning, what is the purpose of looking into the mirror? What is your goal of looking into the mirror? Is the goal of looking into the mirror to appreciate the mirror, how beautiful the mirror is? Or the goal of looking into the mirror is to look at yourself? We don't look into the mirror to appreciate the mirror, right? We don't get up every morning, see the mirror and say, oh wow, how beautiful the mirror looks. No, we look into the mirror so that we can look at ourselves. But every morning while looking into the mirror, if we end up appreciating just the mirror and forget about looking at ourselves, then that defeats the purpose of the mirror itself. So we need to look at yoga as a tool which is exactly like mirror. All the practices of yoga are tools, and they are the tools for what? Looking at yourself. But if we end up doing the practice and appreciating, oh, I did this certain pose well today, I did not do it well today, then that defeats the purpose of you. Because then you are only appreciating the mirror there, the border of the mirror, the glass, whether it is clean or not clean, the design, the frame. That's not what the mirror is meant for. So we have to understand, what is this yoga meant for? Is it meant for practicing asanas, or it's meant for something else? If it is meant for something else, then what is that? What's the purpose? So we talk about the goal of yoga. See, now when we talk about yoga, as I said, we all get introduced to yoga through us these days. All of us start practicing yoga by joining a yoga class and doing certain postures, asanas. But the point is that we can't keep that as the end goal. That can't be the end goal. Okay? That why can't that be the end goal? That's because you are using your body as a tool to do the poses. If you are keeping end goal as being able to perform certain pose or asanas, and if you are using your body as a tool to practice asanas, then your body is going to keep changing. Your body can't remain the same. Whatever we try to do, our body is not going to remain the same. Like as a child, our body had predominance of kapha. The prakriti could be different for everyone, but we see that children have kapha dosha predominant. Then during the young age, say up to 45, 50, most of us experience predominance of pitta dosha. And then after 45, 50, it is vata, vata dominant, lot of vata. So body keeps changing. And if the body is going to keep changing, then obviously whatever you do by using your body as a tool is not going to remain the same. Forget childhood, young age, and old age. Okay, even within a day, or say yesterday I could do my chakrasan well, but today I'm not able to do. Why? because probably because of food or because of my thoughts, my energy levels are different today. And as a result, my body is not able to do that particular pose today. So if I keep that as the end goal, then I will never be able to achieve that completely. So that is not what yoga is meant. We have to understand that asana is a tool for what? Like mirror is the tool to look at yourself. Asana is also a tool to look at yourself. Asanas are not meant for performing asanas. Like mirror is not meant for appreciating the mirror. Mirror is meant for seeing you into the mirror. Same thing. Asana, pranayam, dharana, dhyan, all of the practices, Shuddhi Kriyas, each practice has the same goal, and that goal is look at yourself. We have to ask if we are doing that in any practice of yoga that we choose to do. Be it asana, be it pranayam, be it meditation, or even scriptural study. That is a part of yoga practice. Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya, which is studying the scriptures, is yoga. So when I meet people and, you know, today itself I had this conversation with someone with whom I had done one of my yoga teacher training courses long back. And she pinged me and then we had a conversation and then I asked her how she was and she said, I'm fine, but I'm not able to practice yoga. Okay. And then we had this conversation ahead. And then I said, what do you mean by that? You're not able to practice. He said, no, I don't have time to come on the mat and do asana. Then I said, then you have to say, I'm not finding time to practice asanas. It's not that I'm not able to practice it. Because yoga is not to be practiced only on the mat and doing posture. No. And that is why yoga is referred to as lifestyle. Otherwise, why will someone call it a lifestyle? It is a way of living. We can't be doing asanas all the time, right? No. So we have to also understand that what is how what is yoga off the mat and on the mat. So yogic philosophy, I'm not going to talk philosophy today, but the darshan, yoga darshan, which is one of the uh, 9 darshanas in Indian wisdom. This yoga darshan is based on a philosophy which is known as Sankhya. And both Sankhya and yoga, they keep on talking about two things. They always refer to these words. First word is vyakta. Vyakta means what? Vyakta is that which is expressed, which we see in manifested form. And then there is something called avyakta, which means which is not expressed, which is in unmanifested, in potential form. Okay. So basically we can say tree is vyakta or manifest form of seed. And seed is the unmanifest form of the tree. Okay. So in this example, tree is vyakta and seed is avyakta. But seed in reality is tree itself and tree in reality is seed. Both are not really different from each other. So vyakta and avyakta. See, for example, when you hear a Bollywood song or any song for that, any song when you hear, What do you hear in the song? You hear the words, right? And the tune. Okay. Like for example, if when I'm saying Sare Jahan Se Acha, so what are you hearing? Sare Jahan Se Acha. So you are hearing the word. Huh? Now, and you are making some meaning out of it. Now imagine or think of someone who is deep into music, who understands music thoroughly. What will that person hear? That person will hear the notes. That person will be able to decipher this entire song, and that person will write this song in the language of the seven notes. He will tell, no, it is not, okay, Sare Jahan Se Acha is fine, but it is basically whatever, Ni, Pa, Ga, Ma, Dha, Sa, like that. That is, that is also a reality of that song, which we don't see. We don't have access to it. Only a person who has knowledge of musical notes has access. But a person who has no knowledge will have no access to it. That person will only be able to see the Vyakta form, the manifest form. But that doesn't mean the notes don't exist. They do exist. But I can't understand because I don't know. I have no knowledge. Yoga is about accessing this avyakta. The tools that you have in yoga are about accessing this avyakta. Why? Because as I said, like a mirror, the goal of yoga is to help you show the mirror. See, look at yours. Now, I will never be able to look at myself the way you see me or perceive me. Will I ever be able to understand myself as the way you understand me or see me? Forget, I'm not talking about mind and emotions. Just talk about the physical body. We can't look at ourselves. We can't look at our eyes, can't see our eyes. Our nose can't smell the nose. So we can't look at ourselves. So to look at ourselves, we need a special tool. Okay, so like if I have to study cells, cells, cell, cell, and if I say that I want to study this cell, but I want to examine it with my naked eyes, will I be able to do that? No, I'll have to have a microscope for it. So I need a special tool. I can't say that I will use only the tools that I have to perceive everything around me. And what are the tools that we have? We have eyes, we have nose, we have tongue, we have ears, we have skin to perceive. But does that mean our knowledge is limited to only five senses? We talk about energy, don't we? How? How are we convinced that there is energy? We don't perceive energy through eyes or nose or ears or tongue or skin, but we believe in it. So that is avyakta, isn't it? Energy is avyakta. Energy expresses itself through certain things that we see, right? Now, through the practice of yoga, one is expected to sharpen or hone the the senses, so that one is able to sense even the unmanifest, and uh, one is able to access the unmanifest, avyakta. Okay. See, for example, like the same example of musical notes. Okay. Who will be able to, like they say, who is able to be a better singer? Person who not only can copy, but also understands the swaras, the notes, not the one who is just able to copy what he or she is hearing. And why? That's because he can access the unmanifest. He can access what is not being said there. Even if the words are being said, he can understand or hear the notes, underlying notes. Similarly, if we train ourselves to see the unmanifest in everything, then the manifest becomes better. Let us talk about the yoga of Patanjali, sage, sage Patanjali. So he has explained in his Yoga Sutras, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, through his 195 sutras, he has talked about Ashtanga Yoga, eight limb yoga. The first limb is Yama. Yamas talk about how one needs to behave in the society. So there are five Yamas: Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, and Aparigraha. So non-violence, non-violence as in not about not killing people or other living creatures. Non-violence at three levels: kaya, vacha, mana, body, speech, and mind. Okay. Otherwise, I can say, oh, I practice non-violence. I don't go about hurting people. Yeah, I may not be hurting people physically, but when I see someone, and if in my mind I'm saying, इसको तो ना मैं पंच मारने का मन करता, what am I doing? It is himsa only. Okay. So ahimsa at the level of kaya, vacha, mana. Then satya, again at the level of kaya, vacha, mana. Ahimsa, satya, asteya means non-stealing. Everyone will say that, yes, I don't steal. But again, at the level of kaya, vacha, and mana. Ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya. What is brahmacharya? Brahmacharya in English is translated as celibacy. But brahmacharya, the meaning is Brahman is known as the absolute truth, like the singularities of Big Bang theory, if that helps you understand. That is Brahman, absolute truth. What is the causeless cause of the manifest universe is Brahman. That which is the cause of everything, but which has no cause. If one has to find out the reasoning behind whatever is manifest in the manifest form, we have to go find out a cause, and that we have to accept that there has to be a causeless cause. Because if that has a cause, then what's the cause of that? What's the cause of that? So we will get into a loop. Okay. So Brahman is that absolute causeless cause. And Brahmacharya means all the time Acharana, Charati. Acharan, again, Kaya, Vacha, Man. All the time you're thinking about or you are abiding into that absolute reality. That is Brahman. Then Aparigraha, is like these days we call it minimalism, not collecting things that you don't need at the level of kaya, vacha, man. So not accumulating extra pounds or body fat at the level of kaya. Then vacha, not talking when it's not needed. Mana, I'm able to push out the thoughts that pull me back, that I don't need. That is a parigraha at the level of kaya. So yama. Then niyama. Niyamas, how do I carry myself? How do I conduct myself? Shaucha, cleanliness. Again at the level of kaya vacha mana. Santosha, satisfaction, contentment. Tapas, swadhyaya and Ishvara pranidhana. Tapas, effort. Swadhyaya, study. And Ishvara pranidhana. Here, Ishvara pranidhan means the attitude of surrender. That is important. You believe in a form, in the in God with a form or formless God or whatever. That's up to you. But what is important is, are you able to surrender? Because if one is able to surrender, that shows up on the mat in the yoga practice. Your muscles are relaxed. If one is not able to surrender, if one doesn't have that thing of surrendering and is carrying a lot of aham with him or her, then that shows up on the mat. I'm not saying that those who are very flexible have no ego. I'm not saying that. Otherwise, we will conclude like that. No, it's not like that. Okay, we are talking about ease. I can't judge like that. You yourself, as practitioner, will be able to judge yourself, because everyone, we all have different bodies. So we are not talking about an ideal yoga pose here. So yama, then niyama, then comes asana. So we start from the outermost layer, which is yamas. How do I behave in the society? Then we go in towards niyamas. How do I carry myself? How do I conduct myself? How do I treat myself? Then we come more inward to the body, asanas. Then we go even more in with the fourth limb, pranayama. Then more inward, fifth limb, pratyahara. Pratyahara, where the senses, the five senses, that is uh, our tools of cognition, knowledge of the outer world, which otherwise are all the time turned outward. They are outward oriented. Pratyahara is turning them inward. Otherwise, I am only seeing through my eyes the world which is around me, the world which is made up of objects, names, forms. I hear what my ears perceive from the outer world. Same thing. So, pratyahara is turning your senses inward. So, this is your fifth limb. Then the sixth one is your dharana, dhyana, and then samadhi is like complete dissolution, dissolving into the cause, becoming one with the cause. That is, the tree becomes seed again. So when the tree becomes seed, do we say, oh, the tree has died? Outer manifest form, yes, but otherwise, no, the tree has not died. It has become a seed, because then it's going to be another tree. So samadhi is that. Now, why did I say this? That's because if you see this Ashtanga yoga, we see that it is from outer to innermost. Yama to Samadhi is from outermost to innermost. Outermost is manifest in manifest form, which we say is gross. It is gross or sthula. Gross is that which can be easily perceived through the senses or mind. So yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyan, samadhi is the journey from gross to subtle. From gross to subtle. Okay. When practice yoga, we operate at the grossest level when we are practicing asanas on the mat because we are dealing with the body which is gross. Gross is what? That which is made up of matter, which is material. Our body is a matter. What is matter? Matter is that which can change. Matter changes form. It can decay. Like if it is born, it has to decay. So our body is matter, which is the grossest. Now, if yoga is the journey from gross to subtle, then let us also understand one more concept, which is the concept of pancha koshas, five sheep. So, our scriptures tell us about our existence five levels in simple uh, language. One is your annamaya kosha, that is your food body, this body that we see, that we can touch, feel, taste. So this body is your annamaya kosha, your food body. This is what? This is the result of the food that we eat. So it is your annamaya kosha. Then the second level is your pranamaya kosha, which is your energy body. Then the third is manomaya kosha, your mind body. Fourth, vijnanamaya kosha, your intellectual body. And then the fifth is your anandamaya kosha, bliss body, anandamaya kosha. Now, what we are talking about is gross to subtle, which is the journey of yoga. And when we do this journey, that is when we will say that we are using the mirror to look at ourselves and we are not just appreciating the mirror. Cross to subtle. Now, this is known as involution. We have heard of evolution. How does the evolution happen? Like Big Bang? It happens from subtle to gross. Evolution is from subtle to gross. When there is matter in this whatever potential form, very dense mass, like this size of coin, which manifests itself into this entire whatever cosmos. So how is that? How is that happen? Evolution is from subtle to gross. But the journey of yoga, which is helping you find yourself, look at yourself, or know your reality. What is my reality? What is our reality? which doesn't change. That is the journey from gross to subtle. So it is known as involution. We go backward. We go towards the cause. How do we do it? We have to train ourselves to be able to do this. And then yoga gives us the tools to do this. Asana is one of the tools. Pranayam is one of the tools. Now, in order to do this, we have to now find out the gross and the subtle aspect at the level of each of these five sheets or portions. I told you about Annamaya Kosha, food body. Now we have to ask ourselves at the level of Annamaya Kosha itself, which in itself is the grossest kosha, food body. At that level itself, what is gross and what is subtle? How do I understand my Annamaya Kosha itself, gross and subtle? Yeah. So maybe what I see, head, shoulders and neck and arms and fingers and waist, all of this, what I see is gross. Hmm? But aren't there any internal organs? There are, which I don't see. I can't see like this with my eyes without dissecting the body. I have no access to. But does that mean they don't exist? They do exist, obviously. So vyakta, avyakta, isn't it? Manifest, unmanifest. At this level itself, at the level of food body. Okay? So I understand. Then at the level of pranamaya kosha, what is gross, what is subtle? Prana is energy body. But how do I sense prana through my breath? So at the level of pranamaya kosha, breath becomes gross and energy becomes subtle. Getting this? Then at the level of manomaya kosha, what will be gross and subtle? Maybe my thoughts will become gross. And what fuels my thoughts? Maybe the feelings or my beliefs become subtle. The belief that I am carrying with myself that gives rise to the thought, they become subtle. Now at the level of Vijnanamaya Kosha, what becomes gross, what becomes subtle? My decisions, my choices become gross, and the the reasoning that has uh, gone under or that was behind my choices or the power of discrimination that I chose or I executed or uh, the wisdom that I used while making a choice would become such. At the level of Anandamaya Kosha, bliss body, maybe the kind of pleasure that I am getting will be gross. That may be what I am experiencing, that I have access to, Anandamaya Kosha. But what becomes subtle? The subtleness there is the freedom, which I don't understand. I just understand, oh, I'm happy. But why am I happy? I'm happy as a result of some kind of freedom that I'm feeling. We're happy when we feel free, when we are free. So when we start understanding this gross and subtle, gross and subtle, gross and subtle, at the level of all five koshas, we start understanding the goal of each of those practices that are meant for those. So, what are the practices that are meant for these koshas? Let's understand. And how, what does this each kosha represent? See, Annamaya kosha, when your Annamaya kosha, your food body, is in balanced state, or let's say in the state of well-being, then your muscles are relaxed, you have mobile joints, and you are able to conserve energy when your Annamaya kosha is in a state of well-being. It is not only about your weight, no, because we see a person could be of ideal weight, but still Annamaya kosha is not healthy. That's possible. Now, if your Annamaya kosha is in disturbed state, then muscular tension, stiff joints, and what are the practices, yogic practices meant for Annamaya kosha? All the loosening practices, Sukshma Vyayam, then poses, asanas, relaxing poses, and Shuddhi Kriyas, cleansing of the internal organs, which is the subtle, gross and subtle. Because if the cleansing has not happened, then there will be stiffness in the joint. The vata will be trapped there. And that is why when we do this, we feel good because the air trapped is released. And when you do the internal cleansing, that's going to result at the gross level in your asana practice. So at the level of Annamaya kosha. Now, if your Pranamaya kosha is in a state of well-being, then what happens? You experience slow and rhythmic breath. Breath is not jerky. It's not like shallow. You don't have to do any effort while breathing. But if your pranamaya kosha is in disturbed state, then haphazard breathing, flow of prana or vital force is going in some wrong direction. Then what the yogic practice recommended? Pranayama. Slowing down the breath, watching the breath, balancing the flow of your vital life force. When your manomaya kosha is in a state of well-being, then you are in a focused, calm state of mind with strong willpower, steadiness, and creative thinking. That is the uh, description of your manomaya kosha in a state of well-being. When it is disturbed, then mental turbulence, stress, anxiety, depression. Yogic practice meant for manomaya kosha, all the practices for calming the mind are mantra, mantra japa. Then pranayama is also meant for calming the mind. Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi are not meant for calming the mind because a person who is very disturbed will not be able to meditate because they generally say, Ariha, you should do meditation. but that person will not be able to move. So first that person has to also start with asana practice. Asana practice will slowly get the breath under control and then start watching the breath and then all of it. So that is for Manomaya Kosha. Then Vijnanamaya Kosha, state of well-being of Vijnanamaya Kosha, when you are able to make correct choices. You you know the power of discrimination that you have. And the power of discrimination is what makes you choose what you are supposed to do than going only by what you like to do. If your choices are driven only by your like and dislike, then it would mean that your your manomaya kosha is dominating you, because mind has likes and dislikes. Intellect doesn't have likes and dislikes. Intellect knows what is to be done. Mind likes or dislikes. So if when there is a battle between mind and intellect, mind will pull you towards doing what gives you pleasure. But every time that may not be the right choice. Like a person who is having diabetes, eating sugar is not the right choice. But the mind may say, oh, I like it. Let us go ahead and. But when you choose, when you execute your power of discrimination and choose what you are supposed to do over what you like to do, then that is Vijnanamaya Kosha. Otherwise, we always say, oh no, I'm free. I'm a free bird. I do what I like to do. That's okay. But at times we have to be careful that if we just are driven by mind, then we have to understand what drives mind. What drives mind? Your senses drive the mind. Mind on its own, there is no mind, basically. Where is the mind? Mind on its own can't stand. It has to hold on to something. And what does it hold on to? The senses. So your tongue is going to pull it towards tasty food. Your nose is going to pull it towards good smell. Your eyes are going to pull it towards what is beautiful. So your mind is being driven by the senses. So as a result of that, your mind has likes and dislikes. So if you only do what you like to do, then that would mean that your manomaya kosha is dominant. And you are not able to use the vijnanamaya kosha. That is the intelligence. Intelligence is not information. Intelligence or wisdom, rather, I would use that word. Wisdom is to know when not to use that information. When can I just keep it and not use it unnecessarily? That's Vijnanamaya Kosha. So when your Vijnanamaya Kosha is in a state of well-being, then that is wisdom. But if it is disturbed, when Vijnanamaya Kosha is disturbed, then what happens? It is distorted cognition. Your cognition itself is distorted. Wrong perception. You mistake an obstacle for a support and a support for obstacle. I'll give you a very simple example. In asana practice, when your teacher says use support, use a brick, and you don't use the brick. Why? Because you feel, oh no, that will probably hamper my growth. It will not help me deepen the practice. That is wrong perception. You are taking support as an obstacle. obstacle, whereas it is a support which is helping you deepen your practice. Because at that time, your Manomaya Kosha has overpowered the Vijnanamaya. Your Manomaya Kosha tells you, oh no, push, 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 you can do it. But that's not the way to push in asana practice. In asana practice, the way to progress is to use support and be comfortable. So that is your Vijnanamaya Kosha. How do you strengthen this Vijnanamaya Kosha through yogic practice? Swadhyaya. From the niyama. Tapas Swadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana. Tapas, effort, but effort towards correct direction. Not just sweating. That is exertion. Like in Hatha Yoga, they talk about obstacles. Patanjali Yoga Darshan also talks about obstacles. And in Hatha Yoga also what are the obstacles they say? Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha shardhir yoga pranashyati or vinashyati. Means ati ahara, eating too much. Prayasa, too much of effort. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo, talking unnecessarily. Niyamagraha, every time checking the rules. What is the rule? What is the rule? What's the rule? What should be done? What should not be? That is niyamagraha. Janasangascha laulyam cha. Laulya is unsteady mind. Shraddhir yoga pranam. Okay. So from the niyamas, there is tapas, effort in right direction. Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is studying the scripture. Studying the scriptures, which is a very, very important and crucial part of understanding yoga. Otherwise, your knowledge is going to be limited to only the asanas and the names of the asanas and how it should be done. But as you start studying the scriptures, trust me, that starts showing up in your asana practice. And your asana practice will go to a different level. I'm not saying everyone will be able to do Shirshasana and Mayurasana and Chakra. No, because that's not the goal. But you will be able to find more happiness on the yoga mat in your asana. That surely is the goal. That's an Anandamaya Kosha. So, self-reflection, Swadhyaya, studying the scriptures is, and that happens through Swadhyaya, Tapas, and of course, Dharana, Dhyana, the practices of meditation. Anandamaya Kosha. When your Anandamaya Kosha is in a state of well-being, then you experience harmony all the time. Alignment, where you are doing what you are talking. Otherwise, what will happen? What happens is I talk about peace of mind. I talk about being happy. I talk that no, I ultimately want to be happy. But what I do or what my actions tell others are something else. Knowingly, unknowingly, I push myself towards chaos. Whereas I talk about peace and happiness. So this does not happen in a state of well-being of Anandamaya Kosha. There is alignment. And as opposed to that, in a disturbed state, there is disharmony. And how do you strengthen your Anandamaya kosha? When you have, when you practice karma yoga, selfless action, selfless action. Karma yoga will help you strengthen your Anandamaya. If you have that inclination, then bhakti yoga will also help you in strengthening your Anandamaya. If you have that uh, inclination of devotion. So, what we are saying is understanding the goal of yoga at the level of every portion. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anand. That's because that is the journey from gross to surface. And even if one says that I don't know what you are saying, but I wish to do asanas perfectly. That's my goal. Even if that is your goal, then you have to understand that consider these koshas, these are not like watertight compartments. Each of these koshas is influencing the other. So your manomaya kosha is going to influence your pranamaya. If you are very happy and calm, then your breath cannot be fast. Will that be fast? No. So your manomaya kosha is influencing your prana. On the other hand, if you are angry and disturbed, will your pranamaya kosha, will your breath be slow when you are angry or disturbed? No, it has to be fast. So see, it is influencing. Manomaya influences pranamaya. Now, in turn, pranamaya is going to influence your annamaya kosha. If there is disturbance in breath, if you are not able to breathe properly, then will that not affect your body? It is going to affect the body. So even if annamaya kosha is the goal, asana, even then you cannot ignore the other koshas, because without that your practice cannot happen. Practice on the mat cannot. So what you practice off the mat reflects on the mat. And what you carry with you from the mat is going to help you off the mat. But we have to understand that yoga is not about only asana, which is only meant for Annamaya. Like when they talk about the concept of disease, disease of the body, of your Annamaya kosha, then they talk about Adhi and Vyadhi. Vyadhi, disease, is what manifests in the body. But what is the seed? Where is the seed? The seed lies in your manomaya and pranamaya kosha. Like when your breath becomes disturbed. As a result of that, the types of prana, the types of vayus in your body, prana, apana, samana, vyana, udana, which govern certain functions of your internal organs, as a result of unsteady breathing, shallow breathing, or not being able to exhale completely, the energy body is going to be disturbed, and that will result into indigestion or affecting metabolism. And as a result, that will translate into of vyadhis in Annamaya. And why will Pranamaya Kosha, your breath will be disturbed as a result of some disturbances in Manomaya Kosha, like intensified likes and dislikes, if someone has. Intensified likes and dislikes. Like we see people using very harsh words. I hate this, I hate that, and this. I can't stand this. All this is intense likes and dislikes. And they call, as a result of intensified likes and dislikes, you have shad ripus. Ripu means enemy. Ripu is an enemy. Shad is six. What are the shad ripus? Six enemies. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Matsara. Intensified like Kama. I want this at any cost. That is Kama. Krodha, intense anger. So Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Matsara, jealousy, greed. All of these are what disturbances in Manomaya. As a result of this, Pranamaya Kosha. And as a result of disturbances in Pranamaya Kosha, your Annamaya Kosha. So even if one has the goals of Annamaya Kosha, you cannot ignore the other two. So understanding the goal of yoga at the level of every kosha becomes important. So I think I will stop talking now. If you have questions about what I talked or in general, maybe if you have any other questions about yoga practice or anything related to yoga, you can use the reactions option to raise your hand. Dipali.
Sorry, I'm not going to switch on my video.
Yeah, okay.
This is more of an observation or a question. I don't know what, but without getting into details, it feels like the more I practice all of these things in yoga as asana practice, pranayam, it takes me to a better space. But there are some very, very lifelong underlying issues or I don't know what to call them. अशी मनातली दडपण म्हणा काही पण म्हणू शकतो. Because of that, there are certain areas I don't touch anymore in life. Although I know there are certain areas in life that I don't touch anymore. Although I know if I work on those areas, I might get to a better place or a better space individually. Personally, I will get to a better space. It's not that I'm even scared of touching those areas, but now I feel like I have worked on things so much, things have aligned, as you said, not perfectly, of course, but they are a lot more aligned than they were before. So now I feel like, does it make me, avoidance is not a good thing. Is that going to cause a different kind of imbalance? Okay. But then how do you go about, or you decide once in life, this is not for me, so you do put it on the side. But at the back of your mind, you know, if you do it, it will be better for you, but you just don't want to do it after a point.
So it just, so like you said that you know it is going to be better for you. Now you have to ask yourself whether you are being driven by a dislike. Like one is driven by like, but then one is also driven by dislike. And then you are so much attached to the dislike itself. And I don't like this. And you create an attachment towards dislike. And that may create imbalance, but it is not that it is not always bad. It's just about uh, creating a balance. So if you are able to keep yourself in a state of uh, as I don't know if this is the correct word, but minimum required satisfaction and happiness. And one needs to have to at least carry out your daily activities and is able to sleep peacefully and get up fresh the next day. This is minimum that we can expect, right? When we are talking about well-being, the minimum. If this is becoming better and better and better and better, then probably one will come to that, reach to that space or that comfort when one will be able to deal with what you have kept aside. Maybe you are preparing for it and that will come. But if you stop preparing and if you, because this is continuous, you can't say that, okay, now my yoga is done and now let me take a break. No, that can't happen. That care, that work has to be done continuously. If that stops, then probably it will be tough. But if this continues, then it should be fine. That's what I feel from your. Like I always say, कि गाड़ी कार है वो बंद नहीं पड़नी चाहिए. वो फर्स्ट गियर में चलती रहे तो भी चलेगा. You don't have to go fast. You don't have to drive in fourth gear. But make sure that it is running.
I think that example you gave about the support, त्याचं उलट झालंय आता बहुतेक. It is like I don't look at it as support, but perhaps it's time for me to look at it as support now and not as a hindrance to moving
Obstacle.
forward.
Yeah. Yes.
Something that was a hindrance before maybe can be a support now also.
Now,
So
correct.
perspective perhaps needs to change.
Because probably some years back, you were looking at things from a different standpoint. Now you move, so the angle has changed.
Yes.
Bharati, I'll come to you to answer. Bharati. Can you unmute, Bharati? You didn't raise your hand.
नाही म्यूट होत नव्हतं. सॉरी. धर्माधिष्ठित आणि नियमाग्रह ह्याच्यात म्हणजे when you talked about it, I think these two things for me are
Confusing.
म्हणजे एक नियमाग्रह हे नेगेटिव्ह होते, धर्माधिष्ठित पॉझिटिव्ह होते, पण नियम इज बेसिकली सो दॅट यू फॉलो समथिंग, राईट? काय गल्लत होतीये कळतंय पण क्लॅरिटी नाही येते. सो कॅन यू हेल्प मी?
Yes. So she is asking how does one differentiate between what is, so dharmadhishtit is what? Something which has the support of dharma. Dharma is not religion. Dharma is what you are supposed to do. That's your dharma, your duty, your responsibility. That's your dharma. Okay. So one doing what is one required to do, and niyamagraha, sticking to the rules too much. That is niyamagraha. Okay. Now what is dharma? Dharma is that which cannot be separated from the dharmi. Dharmi is the one whose dharma it is. Like, for example, when I come on the mat as a yoga practitioner, then as a yoga practitioner, what is my dharma on the mat? Okay. So for that role, it cannot be separated. So dharma and dharmi go with each other. They are inseparable. Niyam, no, they are external. Getting this? Niyam is not dharma. Okay, there are rules to follow your dharma. There are rules to follow the dharma. So, for example, if you are following your dharma as a mother, okay, then there are certain rules. But then, before mother, you also are a human being. Now, there are rules for being a human being also. So, if your dharma as a mother and your dharma as a human being, there is a tussle, there is a war. Okay, then which niyam are you going to follow? That is niyamagra. That's different. Okay, niyamagra is no. Now I am a mother. I will harm anyone else, but I will stick to my role of a mother. Then that is not what you are supposed to do. Then the higher dharma has to be followed. Getting this? So niyamagraha is different. And it is basically too much sticking to it, and at times harming us also, harming self also as a result of niyamagra. And I am not able to understand that yes, I'm sticking to the rule, but that is harming me. And it is not helping me any way to grow or evolve, or it is not taking me to a better place. That is when you need to introspect whether it's you're sticking to too many rules, niyamagra. So answer. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can unmute.
Request if in any future session you talk about something on Kundalini meditation.
I'm not able to hear you properly.
I am saying in your future session, if you can talk about serpentine power, that Kundalini, how to activate that Kundalini. No? I know you said something different.
Kundalini.
Yeah. Because
Oh,
so much confusion in that on that.
yeah. Oh, yes, but that's a completely different area which comes from Hatha Yoga and Tantra, basically. Okay. So
Second question is that why they are all these poses, they are after a sage name, Bhardwaj pose and that pose, and why they are so difficult to you know? And how do you name them, है ना कि ये इसको भारद्वाज पोज बनाना है, इसको ये रखना है, तो who named that?
नाम तो हठ योगिक टेक्स्ट में जो रखे हैं वो है, और मुझे क्या लगता है the names, I always feel that, see, there are also names that are by the animals. Okay, so many. Marjarasan, Kurmasan, Vyagrasan, Ushtrasan, Simhasan, so many names are also by the animals. So basically, when probably people uh, watched the world around them, they would have named those poses like that. And basically, what are asanas? What are postures? They are basically dealing with energy. So postures are nothing but the form, the energy taking certain form. Okay. And postures that are named after stages, in those postures, or rather in every pose, but it's not only in those postures, but in asanas, in poses, the aim is ananta samapatibhyam, means you should be able to focus on the infinite. Sages had this, they had probably reached that higher state of consciousness. And so the asanas are named by those sages. Okay, so when we practice those postures at the level of Annamaya Kosha only. And so we get so much involved at the level of Annamaya Kosha that we forget the Ananta Samapatti and the effortlessness, Prayatna Shaikilya, Thiram Sukhamasanam, the comfort. If we do that, then probably we will understand what this stage might have felt then. And the name is not for that posture, but the name is for that state of that mental state. The name is for that mental state, it's not that Bharadwaj would have probably, he was sitting like that all the time. Not like that. Okay. But it is about the mental state. And your first question about Kundalini, this Kundalini is a very different topic, and I have no mastery on the Kundalini. I know about Kundalini, I know the process, but I have not practiced it. I have not done it. Okay. But I know it's Hatha Yoga and coming from Tantra side also. So the method is pranayam and bandhan. Sampada.
Uh, two questions. One is, how do duty and detachment go hand in hand? Like, how do those two concept? How can those two concepts exist in the sense that when you say duty, see, we can define duty as something bare minimum to to any extent. But when you say duty, it is something that you are ought to do, or it is something bare minimum that you are expected to do. So we as humans, like the human, it's a part of the human experience that we go beyond duty. So when we do something for, say, our family or something, it's never just duty. It's way beyond that. So how do see, when you say detachment, how is that even possible? Like, doesn't it take us away from the human experience or being human?
What?
I mean, how do, huh?
Detachment takes us away
Detachment in
from
general.
human
And then when you say duty, then if you are detached, then is it really duty what you're doing? If you're not really involved emotionally or as a human, if that human emotion is missing, and then still you're doing something for someone as a duty, does it still count? Like, there is no, I feel
What
there
is
is no,
detachment? What's your understanding of detachment?
my understanding is not very blur. So actually, what is it like? If in a day-to-day life as a human, how should I
Right.
look at this
Correct.
term of detachment?
Right. Okay. So see, you use two words, detachment and involvement. Right? You use two words. Now let's not, these are not interchangeable. These are two different things. Okay? Involvement is in the process. Involvement is in the process, and detachment is towards the result. Involvement is in the process, detachment is towards the result. We are saying be detached towards the result. We are not saying don't get involved, don't love, don't be passionate. No. If you're doing something for someone, do it with complete involvement and passion, but do not expect that, okay, in return, this person has to give this to me. Detachment is that. Detachment is towards the expectations and results. Detachment doesn't mean non-involvement or non-love or emotionlessness or being away from human experience, as you say. That is not detachment. We detach ourselves from the result. But does that mean we do not do the action? No, no. We do the action with complete involvement, giving in what I can give and with 100% effort and focus. So won't this go hand in hand?
Yeah, they do, but okay, I'll have to think.
So you can see
over it.
your duty is what you are supposed to do. Okay, and you said we don't only do duty, we go beyond that. Okay, now we go beyond that and what makes us go beyond duty?
Isn't it emotion or being human?
Correct, right? Whatever.
I mean,
Let's say love. It's not just being human, because
correct.
you don't go beyond duty with everyone. You go beyond your duty with only people you love or you are attached to, isn't it? If it was human, then सब जगह पे हम बियॉन्ड ड्यूटी चले जाते, ऐसा तो नहीं होता है ना.
Hmm.
So what
Yes.
makes us go beyond duty is an emotion of love or like or dislike, whatever. So our manomaya kosha makes us go beyond duty. Now, who makes the choice? Which kosha makes the choice? Is this my duty or not my duty? Your Vijnanamaya kosha makes the choice. That, this is your duty, this is what you're supposed to do, as you just said, bare minimum. You should be, don't avoid this. That is what your Vijnanamaya kosha tells you. You can't avoid this. Don't run away from this. You're supposed to do this. Even if you fear, even if you don't like, you're supposed to do this. But your Manomaya kosha will at times make you go beyond your duty. Because that mind is telling you, hey, I like this. I like this person. I like this. Okay? यहाँ तक भी ठीक है. But if the mind starts expecting that, see, I am going beyond my duty, उसका फल क्या मिला? I did it, but now look at her. She's not even remembering what I did for her so many years back or what. That their detachment is needed. I did it. Why? Because it was for my selfish need then. It was my selfish emotional need for which I went beyond duty and did it. It was not for her. So in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, they say, Atmanastu priyatvarte. Like, I love. So wife loves husband not because he is husband. Wife loves husband because he is her husband. Okay. So it is for me. It's not like human. No, not
Mm.
like. So duty and detachment go hand in hand, because detachment is towards the result and involvement is in the process. You be very much involved in the process, doing a duty, but do not get attached to the result. That is what karmani eva adhikaraste from Bhagavad Gita. Karmani eva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Karmani eva adhikarah, te adhikarah. Your authority or your control is only on the actions that you do. Karmani eva. You do not have control on the result or the karma phala. Yes. One more question.
No. I just
Okay.
tried.
Think we can end the session then. Once again, a very happy International Yoga Day to all of you. We'll chant the prayer and end the session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all.